Welcome to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I'm your host, Darrell Scott, and together we will dive into the lives and careers of the jazz legends who have left a rhythmic imprint on the world. Be prepared to reminisce on the highs and the lows of their musical journey and the trials that sculpted their timeless musical gems. We'll preserve the legacy of these extraordinary maestros and find inspiration in the melodies of their lives. Subscribe now and never miss a beat. Now, let's get to the show. Welcome, everyone. This is the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I am Darrell Scott. My guest this particular day is a young man who's played with more people than I can name. Just telling you how it is. Rob Zinn, Paul Brown, Steve Oliver. Those are just to name a few. Ladies and gentlemen, and I meant to ask you this before. I want to pronounce your last name correctly. How do you pronounce the last name?
Oh, it's Gutshall.
Gutshall. Okay. I would have been right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Wayne Gutshall. Wayne, how you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for having me on the show here on the podcast, and I'm looking forward to, we were talking a little bit before. I'm sure the people listening don't know that, but Darrell's great, and he got me sort of relaxed now. I was a little bit nervous with he's got Marcus Miller on here and some big names, and I'm just thankful to be on the show. What a blessing.
It's funny that you say that. I interviewed, I don't know if you know him, Eric Essex. He's
Yeah.
guitarist from the South. And Eric's, he was so nervous. So we get done with the interview. I make him laugh a couple of times and whatever. And he sends me a message back and says, best interview I've ever done because I was never more relaxed than with you. So we try to have fun. I mean, we'll talk about a lot of different things with your career, with people that you've played with and things like that. But the main thing about this is it's an opportunity for my listeners or the listeners of the show to find out about you. So I try not to talk a whole lot. I leave that totally up to you so people can get to know you, find out about your music, and get your music. So Wayne, let's go with this. Let's start with this. What was the thing that made you get into this jazz music world?
Okay. I was checking out some of the interviews to see what the first question might be. So I said that might be one of them. Yeah, I mean, it's a several different things, So I talk, so that'll be good for the interview here. I mean, just music in general. My father, he showed me the guitar when I was a little kid, but my hands were so small they didn't fit on the fretboard. But then when I got to junior high here in Miami, there was a student in the class. He opened up the saxophone case, and I'm like, wow. At first you see it and it just impresses you, but later, as I went through school and I started learning, first when I got there in junior high, they wouldn't even let me play saxophone. They were like, oh, everybody wants to play saxophone. So I played, well, what's that thing? And I ended up playing something like what Marcus Miller plays, that bass clarinet, before he
Mhm.
played bass. I also played bass clarinet, so. Uh, Finally, when I got to high school, I was still playing clarinet, and um, I started to play a little bit of saxophone. And I had a self. It's this class where they let you practice by yourself in a room. I don't know the formal name of it, but during the same time, they had jazz band, and I could hear the tenor sax player jamming out, ripping great solos. And I'm like, man, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Finally, the band director goes to me one day. He says, and my band director, by the way, we'll get with this, is Victor Lopez. He was the lead trumpet player for Miami Sound Machine. This is my band director. That's God, just making a way. So he said to me, hey, Wayne, the second tenor has the chicken pox. Can you just play in jazz band? And I'm like, and in that moment, my life was going to change for the better. And I'm like, whoa, I was a little nervous. And he's like, oh, no. I'm like, no, wait, I'll do it.
Right, right.
I literally went straight from doing that, jumped right in jazz band and just started playing sax like that. And I was playing a little bit in the second band, but from that point on, that was it. I was on the jazz scene in my school, and things just started rolling from there.
Now, you're from Miami, live in Miami, born and raised. What is the jazz scene like down there that made you want to continue? I mean, I imagine the Miami Sound Machine and some other folks, but why did you stick with it?
I mean, this comes to the guy that I was talking to you about before the interview, Ed Kai. Ed Kai is part of the original horn section for the Miami Sound Machine, but more than that, I mean, this is my personal opinion. He's one of the greatest sax players ever in the history of the world. I mean, I don't know why he's not more known, but he is known. He might get upset at me if he heard me say that. But
Hmm.
he came in and he would coach us. He's basically like the top studio sax player in the world right now, in my opinion, at least in the Latin world. And he would come in and coach us. And one day, Mr. Lopez let him play in the band in front of us. And after I heard him play, you're just like, oh my God, excuse me, God forgive me. That's the way it's supposed to sound. That's
Right.
the way it's supposed to sound. After I heard that, I was like, that's it. I want to be like that. And so I was very fortunate that I got a scholarship to the local college here. And after that, my teacher was him, Ed Kai.
Oh.
And but mainly, I mean, he taught me a lot of great stuff, but by example, it's just like shows you, okay, this is the way it has to be. And he might not tell you everything, but sometimes you got to figure it out on your own too. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yes, I do. Need to figure it out on your own. So, what was it like? I mean, that's got to be pressure for late teens, early 20s, and you wanting to aspire to do that. But I can't imagine what price you had to pay in order to learn that, to be that, to become the musician that you are.
Well, I'll tell you what, he would give me he'll give they would all I had some other great teachers too. I mean, it's not just Ed Kai,
Hmm.
Gary Campbell, this guy there, but basically they all give you these little nuggets. They don't want to give you everything because I think when you're really going to be in this business, you got to love it, and you have to really want to do it, and it has to be something in you driving you to do it. And so, like I said, there's stuff that you have to figure out on your own. But oh yeah, so those nuggets that he would give me, they were very, very helpful. And sometimes you got to pull it out.
Hmm.
I mean, one of the nuggets, and I'll tell a lot of people already know this, is basically to transcribe, to find the masters, the ones that you look up to, and just learn from them, like John Coltrane, Paul Desmond. I like some of those old, traditional masters, and then you got other guys like my teacher Ed that I look up to, and Sanborn and people like that, and Grover Washington, and just check out everybody and see what you like and learn from them.
I'm going to ask this, and this just came to me. Number one, saxophone is probably, at least in my world, is probably the most popular instrument that there is. But since there are so many, why do so many more of you continue to want to play the saxophone? Because it's like competition. If you think about it, you've mentioned Grover, you mentioned Sanborn, Paul Desmond, John Coltrane, and we could name thousands of saxophone players. But what was it that made you want to develop your own style? And then once you answer that, if you could describe your style, I'd like to hear that.
Okay. So what was it that could you
But
repeat that?
why the saxophone? If there's so many saxophone players out there, how do you get to generate your own sound?
Oh,
What was that?
I just love it. Really, the first sax player I heard down here in Miami, his name is Gato Barbieri,
Yes, Europa.
Argentinian sax. Yeah,
Yeah.
Europa. So like I ended up playing that song in my talent show and winning the talent show at my high school and all this kind of stuff. But that got me pumped up. So as far as like you just get so pumped up by it, you want to do it. There's a lot of people I know that start music that want to play an instrument and they get all pumped up and stuff, but they leave and they do another career. I mean, actually, I went to University of Miami. It's a really good school. People like Pat Metheny, Huge Groove came out of there, Andy Snitzer and Ed Kai. But basically, uh, geez, now I forgot what the heck I was going to say.
Why are you playing the saxophone?
Well, well, I'm just saying you have this thing driving you in you that drives you to do it. And I think that, that's just something that I guess God willing, that God puts that inside of you, and it's just something that you want to do. What I was going to say was is while I was at UM though, if you had a good GPA, the law school will tell you, hey, do you want to join? And the thing was, I didn't want to be join the law school. I wanted to do music, and I know this one trumpet player who's really good. He's an attorney now. So he still plays. But sometimes what I'm trying to say is people just don't want to go into it all the way. They don't want to make the commitment that you need to make. And you just got to have that thing inside of you, that fire driving you.
I would think that the fear factor, because when you have some other players out there, Grover, Sanborn, Gato, whatever, whoever, you that puts additional pressure on you because
No, no, I don't
no
agree. No,
trust.
because you know why? Because everybody has their own style. So you never can be, there's never going to be another John Coltrane. There's never going to be another Sanborn. There's never going to be another Grover. You could try to copy them all you want. That's you, if you copy them, it's for learning. You got to be yourself and just do your thing. I learned that from Sting. He has this one interview and he says, when I go to record, I don't listen to other artists. I just do my own thing.
I know I heard the story about Sanborn that once he's done with a recording album, CD, I just call them projects now because I'm not sure what to call them. He doesn't listen to it.
Oh,
It's like I get it. You spend all that time perfecting that particular song, making whatever changes you need to make, but then that's it. You have to move on to the next one. And I understand. There are a lot of things about this music business, especially in this time and space, that I just I, here's the extent of my music education. Here's Wayne, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to play. I'm done. I'm walking off the stage. That's it. I'm done. I don't play. I
yeah,
don't.
but you must be a big fan, though.
I'm a huge fan, and you can't see the room that I'm in and the amount of music that I have. But there's
That
a lot.
Marion Meadows up there on the back?
This one,
Yeah.
that's George Howard.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see it.
Yeah,
It looks a little bit like Marion
yeah.
from far
We're
away.
we're trying to get Marion. We just did Paul Taylor. Um, there's so many artists out there, and you just have to keep throwing stuff against the wall to see who you will get. I tell you what, let's take a little pause and let's listen to For the Love with you and Rob Zen, former guest on the Jazz Flyte Podcast. On the Jazz Flyte Podcast with our guest today, Wayne Gutshall. That is For the Love with former Jazz Flight guest Rob Zen and our guest today, Wayne Gutshall. Wayne, it is describe your style. Well, if
Oh, okay. You had asked me that before. Yeah,
yeah,
my style, it's I would say I'm pretty melodic. That's something that I got from Gato Barbieri that you just play what you hear in your mind coming out. But because I also listen to people like Ed Kai and like John Coltrane and all these different people that can really, even Sanborn. I like to play lines also. Like somebody like Rick Braun that plays trumpet. That
hmm
guy's very melodic, but he plays a lot of jazz lines. And I feel like as a jazzer, I could help bring that into the smooth jazz, contemporary jazz scene a little bit more.
what was it like? Because you stuck around you're still there, the Miami scene. What is the Miami jazz scene like? What if I came
Oh
down
yeah.
there and spent a week? What should I expect to hear?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You asked me that before and I didn't get to it. Yeah, the jazz scene down here. is, I think, still growing. You know, there were a few jazz clubs and they open and close. There's one in Fort Lauderdale that's open all the time called All That Jazz. It has a lot of traditional jazz. The contemporary smooth jazz scene still needs to grow here. I mean, there was a jazz festival here, the Miami Smooth Jazz Festival. I got
Hmm.
invited to play at that. So they have festivals, and there are some Latin jazz kind of like clubs and stuff like that that are on down on 8th Street or also on Coral Way. Like every year in Miami, they have this festival called Calle Ocho. You know, I speak a little bit of Spanish.
Hmm.
And so there's a mix there. You know, Arturo Sandoval, the famous trumpet player, and I used to play. I played in his big band. Well, I don't want to say what. Like, let me redo that part. I didn't play in his big band. I played with Ed Kai, the Mont Blue big band, but Arturo would come in and sit in with us. So that was an experience. But Arturo had a jazz club down here, and I think he moved out to LA. But the jazz scene here is good. It's still growing, in my opinion.
All right, hopefully we'll get some people that will come down there and visit. If they meet you, I will tell
Yeah, I got
tell them.
ideas. I might make a jazz festival down here one day, you know.
I
Thinking
I would
about it.
I would think the market is there. I know there's some other ones. There's Sea Breeze, I think, is there. Um,
Yeah, but not in Miami. Miami needs something. So I am thinking about it. I've been talking about it with a few people and we'll see. We'll see.
okay,
Step by step.
all right. The other thing that is very interesting to me, and I'm always interested in hearing, I call them what side hustles you have. Not only do you play music, but you educate people on music. You're an educator. You teach at college. What what is the one bit of information that you want to pass on to prospective jazz musicians that you tell your students?
Okay. Well, well, first I want to say I'm doing music full time now. I did teach for 28 years and but with all the stuff taking off, streaming and everything, getting like over, a million streams and everything, I talked to my wife and she told me, and we both talked about it and said, "Hey, I'm gonna, let's do this full time." You know what I mean? But as
Hmm.
far as my students, what I would tell them, and I would tell them, be who you are. Be who you are. If you're really a performer and you got it in you, you got to go for it. And if you have like a student that's more like a reserve type student and that's okay. Just be who you are and let it come out through the music. You don't have to be nervous about it. It's there. Put in the time and you'll be able to be a great player.
What are some of the musicians that you have looked up to throughout your career?
Oh, like I said, I mean, in the beginning it was Gato Barbieri. Uh, and I'd say maybe like Grover too, Gato and Grover from that whole 70s kind of thing. But after that, when I started taking lessons with Ed Kai, I mean, you got to hear this guy. He is a monster. This is the guy that was my teacher. And so I still look up to him. I think he's amazing. I also like John Coltrane. To me, John Coltrane probably, and it's no disrespect to anybody, but he is probably one of the most innovative of not only saxophone playing, but his improvisation. So those are a few, but there's just so many, and Sanborn. I mean, because I play a lot of alto now, and I like to take like some of the elements of the tenor and bring it to alto and back and forth.
What what is the difference, if you can explain it, the difference between alto saxophone, tenor saxophone, baritone saxophone, whatever? What is the difference between each one? Because I think there's five, if I remember correctly, but there's so many people that don't play, they'll only play alto. They only play soprano. They really don't do both. What is the, if I'm sitting in a room and there are two players in front of me, one playing alto, one playing soprano, what are the differences I should look for or listen for?
Okay, well, I mean, soprano in general is the smallest one, so the sound, the pitch of it sounds higher. And then the alto is the one that's after that. Sort of like the alto singer, somebody like Karen Carpenter or Gloria Stefan. And then the tenor, it's the same, the tenor is like a man's voice, a little bit medium. And then you have the baritone, that's like, you know, Barry White, like the hey, the lowest sounding voice, you know.
That would be that's an interesting thought though to put the saxophone, each saxophone, and apply a voice to it, and if you could see it, I think that would be a better understanding of what each one is. Because, like I said, I don't. I just hope you play good music, and I'm sure you do. But if you told me you were playing the baritone, the alto, the soprano, I would just go, okay, just keep playing. Because I'm sure I would. I
I mean, I play them all because these days the sax players, you need to play everything. I mean, the other day I saw Kirk Whalum playing Barry sax, and I was like, "Whoa! I didn't know Kirk Whalum played Barry." I mean,
yeah.
he's awesome already. He's playing Barry. He's like bringing flute. He brought a flute. I went to go hear him live in Boca, and yeah, he brought a flute. Another one of the guys I look up to. He's such a nice guy, great player.
Are there occasions when you're no longer the player, but you're the fan? Do you go to shows, have people you enjoy listening to, sitting there and just kind of hearing what they're doing? And if you take away something from their particular performance, what might it be?
Yeah, it's both. You go and you're like a fan. There's no doubt about it. Even Kirk Whalum and Ed and all these people I look up to, trust me, they're fans of certain people. But when you go there, you're sort of like a fan. But the thing is, yeah, I also am a saxophone professor. So when I hear them playing, I can't help it. I'm listening to them thinking, all right, man, I know what this guy's doing. I'm listening to this and that. And you're learning and you're thinking, I really go to for enjoyment, but I also go to learn. I learn so much from going to the live shows. And I think that the young musicians today, that's something that they need to do. They need to do. And I think that people shouldn't take that for granted.
All right, once again, we're going to venture into the vault here and play something that you've done. I think it's got a great title because it's food that I like. Let's listen to Spicy on the
Ah,
Jazz
okay.
Flyte
All right.
Podcast with our
That's
guest.
my first one that was on the
Yeah,
radio.
I just love the title. I'm into titles. So let's take a listen as you are listening to the Jazz Flight Podcast. People always say they want to have something spicy when they're around me. We just heard it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jazz Flight Podcast. I'm Darrell Scott. That's Wayne Gutshall. Wayne, what what's on your plate now that you're doing? What are you? Do you have a new record out? What are you doing?
I mean, right now, I need to get this next CD done. I've been a member of the Grammys for a while, but I wasn't a quote unquote, I was a professional member, but now I'm a voting member, and I almost didn't want to be a voting member because I was telling them, no, that's okay. But I think when you have enough recording credentials, they just automatically put you as a voting member. And as a voting member, you have a little pressure on you because you have to record a certain amount of stuff every single year. So I mean, I would have wanted to do that anyway. But now it's good. I need a little kick in the butt right there to get me going with that stuff. And I want to knock out this next CD this year, see if I can get that done before the year is over, and then just keep on increasing my recording speed, because these guys that are top pros, man, they put that stuff out regular.
So let me ask you this. Once again, something shot in my mind. Do you do with this day and age of streaming? Some people do EPs. They do 6 songs. They don't do a full, I'll say, 10-song project, CD, album, whatever you want to call it. Do you prefer one or the other? Is obviously there's more pressure to do 10 songs as opposed to I know a couple of artists that have just done 6 songs EPs. Um, what do you prefer?
I mean, I think it's changing now because of streaming. I mean, in the last few years, I put out a bunch of string of singles.
Hmm.
But an EP is good for me. What would I prefer? A CD is good. It just takes more time, like what you said. You'd be surprised how much time it takes just to you record one part, then you got to do the editing and all this, and you got all these different engineers. But I think an EP or a CD is what I prefer.
As a voting member for the Grammys, are you in one particular category? What categories are you voting on?
Oh, that's a good question. Very good question. I learned that this year because it was the first time I voted. And when you get on there, they tell you you vote in your the area that you're in. So I vote for pretty much all the jazz categories. And then you have to vote also for the main. Um, I can't believe it. I thought I shut off the ringer on the phone. I hear it in the background.
All right.
Yeah, you also vote for the main categories for pop music and all that stuff. And most musicians, we all know about that, you know. So
Uh, Do you have to listen to each nomination?
you have to listen to each nomination. Yes, you do. And the way it's pretty with technology now, they made it easy. They have these links. So let's say the first part was hard because for the song of the year, there's got to be like 100 people going out for it at least, and
Right.
you have to listen to all that stuff. And once you get past that, then it's down to five. So when it's down to five, that's much easier. You just
So
press.
the initial one is like everybody in the category, and then everybody puts a vote, and then the top five are like the final five.
Oh, could you repeat that again?
And so when you say that, how many rounds are there to vote? Let's start with that.
I think, as far as I know, there's only two rounds. The first round, like I told you, where it seems like there's a lot of people trying out for each category, and
Right.
then the second round, where they come back and they give you everything which has the top five, and that's it. You know,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, there might, unless I'm confused, I'm pretty sure there's only two rounds. You know,
I,
phone
I
started ringing here in the house, so it got me distracted.
okay.
I shut off the ringer. I don't know how that's ringing.
I got a lot of music here. A lot of music. Maybe not as much as you, but I got a lot of music here. If you told me I had to take this room of albums and CDs and get it down to five, it'd take me 6 months to listen to everything. And then to go to five, that takes a lot of time on your part.
Yeah, it does take a lot of time. They give you a 2 to 3 week period to do it. You don't have to do it all in one sitting. And it was the first time that I did it. I mean, like I said, once it gets down to five, it's not that bad because you're only doing, in my case, the jazz categories, and then you do the top. I think it's either around 7 to 10, song of the year, artist of the year, and all those kind. Those don't take too long once it's down to five. But before that, it did take time.
I want to be a fly on the wall when you're doing that, just to watch you, to see your expression, to see basically the expression. Because I'm sure there are times, how do I want to say this, that they're dogs, that they're horrible. And I don't mean, maybe it's just not your bailiwick to listen to, but you still got to listen to it. You still got to consider it. You still got to do all of that. Now
I
I have a
mean,
totally different appreciation of voting for Grammys.
yeah, the good thing about it was since it was the first time I voted this year, I really saw that it looked like the people that made it into the top five musically were very good. And then at that point, you just had to say, okay, which one do you think should win? I mean, I also voted in the engineering cat. I do some engineering. Uh, and up to now, I've been producing all my own stuff. I am going to hire some producers for the next CD. For this CD right now, Steve Oliver actually is producing one of the songs. I got to get my stuff out to him.
And now you don't have to do the thing where you have to fly out to LA or fly to Colorado. Everything can just be streamed to you and you can just put it all together. That's the part that's the part I'm having I can't wrap my head around because I'm of the I need to see your face, I need to see your expression while you're playing. Number one to see if you're enjoying it or if there's a change, we can facially make the change. We don't have to stop and start over again. You can just do that. But now in this day and age of computers are a wonderful thing.
No, I know what you're saying. I mean, I prefer to be there with the band, and a lot of stuff on this CD, we did it with the whole band recorded. But then when we mix it, it goes with the engineer. In the case with Steve, because he is in Los Angeles, yeah. Still, I was able to record everything here. Now he'll record his part there, though, uh, unless I go out there. But in that case, it is convenient that he could record, and he did a fabulous job on the Spanish Love. That right now, that's the song that has the most streams so far.
And is so what's going to be the name of the new project?
Oh, that I'm not sure yet.
Dude, I was hoping to
Because
break some news.
yeah, no, because the way that works is, you know how that works. You have like nine songs, and then you look at them and you just say, okay, which one's going to be the main one that's going to have the title?
Nice. I don't, in one respect, I think you all are geniuses for the fact that you come up with something new, I'll say every year, or every 2, 3 months. But then there are times I want to have nothing to do with you all. Just give me the final product and I'm good. Um, but the whole process of, listening to it, putting it together, okay, we need to change this bass line. We need to change, I want to do a different sax solo here. I, I guess from that aspect, I'm impatient. I'll just say it that way.
Oh
But
yeah, you don't have to go through any of that. You get the nice finished product.
yes, do you have a social media presence? Are you online? Are you
Oh
on,
yeah, yeah. I'm on all Facebook, Instagram, all that. If they just put my name on Google, everything comes out.
and you have your own webpage, correct?
Yes, I do, Daryl.
Okay, because I want people to be able to find you and then listen and do the streaming and so forth and so on. Wayne, it's been a pleasure. I enjoy this. I enjoy finding things that are interesting between the teaching and this whole new thing of voting for Grammys and that sort of stuff is enlightening to people who I'm sure want to know. And I'm sure there are other people that want to go, um, so this is how they choose the Grammys? I didn't know this. Um, and go from there. So Wayne, I greatly appreciate this. Thank you for taking the time. Whatever you have new coming out, new music, new CDs, whatever, please include Jazz Flyte in it so we can put it on our podcast and put it on our social media and we'll get you some listeners. So thank you very much. Stay warm in Miami because it ain't warm here.
Thank you, Daryl. God
All right.
bless you and all the listeners out there, and thank you for inviting me to be on the podcast.
Not a problem, sir. You've been listening to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I am Darrell Scott. If you enjoyed this interview and want to hear more, at the end of this, there's a button that says subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. We've done over 130 interviews of some very talented people and some people that have very interesting side hustles, as I call them. So once again, thank you, and we'll talk to you again next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I hope you enjoy these stories and soulful melodies that grew through the doors of time. If you want to stay connected with the latest updates and episodes, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Until next time, I'm Darrell Scott.